Hi, Larry. How are you? Oh, I'm going to ask you to unmute, Larry. Okay, perfect.
Got it.
All right. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Yeah. Did you get your packet?
Yeah, thank you for bringing that by. Yeah, I went by yesterday morning,
Yes. Yes. I was
and
informed.
and so I figured out it was either one of two things. Either someone did or didn't, but out of an abundance of caution.
Yes. Yes. Thank
Uh,
you. No, I had, it was fun. I actually found it, um, fun.
to work from home.
No, to distribute, hand deliver the packets. I saw Ron and said hi and his cute little puppy. Um, and I saw Nathan and what else did I see? Yes. So, and it was a beautiful day to go out there and just deliver
Yeah,
your packets. Yeah,
it was.
it was. Yes. So,
So, gonna take a week or two off or play it as it comes, I guess.
right, right. Yes. Yeah. But we're working, the village employees are working remotely. So, um, we're closed. The village hall is closed for employees and the public, but we are working remotely, so from home. So we'll get through this. We've been there.
Well, let's be honest. We've got a couple of months ahead of us, which are going to be rough. And we
Yes,
have to take care of ourselves. 5 people in that office in such a small enclosed space is not the best scenario, best
understood.
situation. Obviously, that's the case.
Understood. So
Yep. So, and you were going to have your couple of your children with you for Christmas.
absolutely, yes, we're heading to see grandma, my 95-year-old grandmother,
Hmm.
and we're going to spend Christmas with her.
And she's in
Yes,
the city.
she is. She is. Then we're heading back. Yes. So looking forward to spending time with family, my grandmother and a few of my siblings. So very good.
Good.
We're excited.
That's good.
Yeah.
It'll just be the two of us here and the two dogs. So
I heard
I,
one of your dogs barking.
oh yeah, maybe it was probably the blind one. He
Okay.
sits at the door.
Yes. Yes. I heard the dog barking.
If she hears a car pull up, she barks.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was her. And in fact, she was just here. She's leaving. Finally, she realizes that are no there are no treats
No treats, right? Hi, Ron.
Hi,
around.
how is everyone?
Doing
Good.
great, thank
How
you.
are you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Good.
Ready for the holiday?
We are.
It was the quietest Christmas I've ever spent.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty quiet, isn't it?
Yeah,
It is.
it will be quiet. We are commonly with over the years, over many years with my younger partners, and then they had children, the boys to 14. So that's how long it was before they even had a child.
Hmm.
So for a long time, and it started growing with kids, and then they invited other people, not just the 6 adults. And eventually it became a scene, with like
Yeah,
10
right.
kids and 20 adults. And so we have it with
Yes.
other friends, 2 other friends and
Hi,
some friends of
Jason.
theirs.
Sorry. I'm in a meeting.
So it's going to be a little smaller this year.
Uh, the last 3 or 4 years, it's been maybe 6 or 7 adults. No one has any children. And that's fine too. Both scenes are fine. Go over early to the big family, exchange presents, and then move on to the adults.
Right.
That works out fine. But this year, nobody's going anywhere in our little circle.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Nathan.
How you doing?
I'm okay. How are you?
You didn't have no trouble finding the place, did you?
No.
Okay.
Um,
So make
worked
sure
out
my
perfect.
directions are correct.
yes. All right.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, Nathan. How are you?
I'm well.
Great.
Hi,
And
Neil. I just saw Neil. Sorry.
Neil.
he's here.
Yes.
Neil's
Neil?
here?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought he
Yes.
said he wasn't gonna make it.
He just logged in.
Uh-huh.
I believe that was Jonas. That he's not.
No, that was Neil. I spoke to Neil because I
Oh.
gave Neil.
Oh,
Neil
okay.
gave me your phone number.
Oh, okay. Hi, Neil.
How you doing, Neil?
Welcome, everybody.
How you
Hello,
doing?
Hi,
everyone.
Neil.
Hi, Kay.
Good,
How are
Donna.
you?
Hey, how you doing?
All right. How's everybody doing?
Everybody seems to be fine.
All right.
Here.
Yeah, Doris, you're in the office, even though the office is closed.
Right. For the meeting, I'm here and I'm by myself. So
Okay, no one's there.
yes.
Well, that's good.
Yes, I am here. Oh, I'm letting I see Catherine Eisman.
Yeah, Kathy and Denise and I just had a little pre-call.
Okay. All right. Hi, Nada. I see Nada.
Yeah.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Kathy.
Hello. Hi, Nada. Congratulations on your award of having been to the most meetings ever.
I can believe that.
You're on mute, Nada, but I think, yeah.
I'm asking Nada to unmute.
Okay, I've unmuted myself.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just going to say that I've avoided mostly the planning board meetings till this page came up on it. Because
Okay.
there's a limit, I must say. Actually, village board meetings, yes, it's 25, 30 years I've been most of the time at them.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I've witnessed a lot of different mayors and a lot of different
Right.
behaviors.
That was really neat that they did that.
Oh, the proclamation couldn't have
Yeah.
been absolutely kinder of Kathleen and so on.
It was very,
really
I guess
nice.
it was a surprise.
Totally. And
Awesome.
Gwen was here, had the proclamation, and I didn't know why she was sitting at the meeting. I thought, well, maybe for once she's sort of interested in it. She brought up because for 45 days, she had hidden in my house for me to find 2 a day messages from people who've known me all my life and family.
Aww.
It was such fun. I mean, I was spoiled rotten, but I'll tell you all, it was nicer hearing about yourself, not when you're dead.
That is
That's
nice.
what the family said. Anyhow, it was wonderful, and the village has been very sweet too. A lot of you. Anyhow, I don't want to interrupt the
Congratulations,
meeting.
Nada.
And,
Okay.
yes, I do want to say something in the regular meeting because I know in the work session I'm to be quiet.
Okay. Thank you.
So you can mute me, Doris.
Okay.
Sure.
I will do that then.
Then you won't hear me laugh.
We'll get started with our work session. And Jonas was unable to attend tonight. He let me know that last week. So, but we have enough other members present, so we can carry on with our duties. So it's Tuesday, December 22nd, 2020, and it's the work session for the planning board. And on the agenda, the first item is it's an old site plan application for 152 Hampton Street, which I think Kathy said was originally a different version of the site plan was submitted in 2017, and we haven't really had it on the agenda since since I've been on the board. So I was going to let Kathy talk a little bit about what's going on here, and then we can kind of take it from there. Kathy?
Yeah. Okay,
I'm
great.
sorry, Kathy, before you, I don't mean to interrupt. I just want to let the board know that Dennis Downs sent an email requesting to adjourn 152 Hampton Street. And I just circulate the email a few minutes ago, so,
Oh, okay.
okay.
So
Okay.
that may,
Hi, Denise.
Hi, Doris.
That means we really
Hi, Denise.
we shouldn't
Hi, everybody.
talk about it. So we're not going to talk about it. So thanks for that, Doris.
Yes, and I apologize for the late delivery on the email.
That's okay. Must have just came through. So okay, well, so we'll table that because he requested that, and we'll go to a little discussion. There's not much to discuss yet on 63 Main Street Page Restaurant. The last we left that, and now Kathy can chime in after I give a little intro, was we asked the applicant to come back with some 3D renderings and take us through what they're proposing. The other part of that is that the application still isn't complete and there are still questions that Nelson Pope Voorhees has for the applicant, including the impacts and whether or not those impacts require us to have a pause deck. Kathy, do you want to add anything about that?
Yeah, I can add. We received revised plans that addressed some of the comments from our earlier report, which was the earlier report was dated September 8th, I believe. Yes. And so we went through the plans and we identified those comments that had been addressed, at least partially. There were certain things that they have provided now that they hadn't provided previously, like some lighting details, some additional details on the plans. And some 3D extrusions, I guess is the word, some three-dimensional looking models that help to show what they are proposing. So we prepared a report that I circulated yesterday and Doris circulated today to the applicant as well, that details those items and also says you should look at our original memo and identify, you have more work to do there. And then also from the secret perspective, as Kay had said, the applicant really needs to come back and show the board and show us that that if there won't be a potential for a significant adverse impact on all of those items that we identified in the Part 2 EAF that was circulated last month. So if anybody needs a copy of that, let me know. I can circulate that again. But there were a number of items where we felt that there wasn't enough information or there was the potential for a significant adverse impact. So the burden is on the applicant at this point, and it behooves them to show either in an expanded environmental assessment or whatever they need to present to the board that, why this does not have that potential for adverse impact. So again, we're just at this point, I think that'll be very useful to hear from the applicant and see the 3D renderings and however they are going to, show us what the proposed project is. But there's really not anything else to decide on at this point.
I have a question. As some of my older colleagues know, I always love to go back to first principles on this. And these applications have a tendency to linger to the point where I think we sometimes lose sight of what actually are the issues, specifically, those issues relative to SECRA that we as a board should be most concerned about. So if this, what is this application? What are they asking for? And what are the implications of this application for whatever the type that they're identifying as? What are the implications that we as a board during the SECRA process are going to be contemplating? Is it possible to actually point those out at this stage, or do you think that it's, and this is for Kathy and Denise, obviously, is it not possible to do that until we get more deeply into the detail of the information that they provide us?
Well, I think with the additional information that Kathy's requested, it might be easier than to focus on the actual issues instead of, I feel like it's too broad right now, and it could be parsed down with some of the answers to the questions that she's posed. But in the most recent memo, which I doubt I doubt everybody's had a chance to look at, Kathy does go through some of the issues that we're going to be dealing with. Because remember that this is a proposal for second and third floor expansion of the existing restaurant to, and also the relinquishment, I think, of an apartment, at least one apartment, to put in like a catering facility that would be ancillary to the restaurant. And so, traffic, parking, visual aesthetics, the, historic nature of where the building is in relation to Village Hall being next door, which is, a historic landmark. And we have the police station in the back that's a historic landmark as well. So those are some of the sort of bigger issues, I would say. Go ahead, Kathy. I don't know if you have anything you want to add from your memo. There's a bunch of stuff in here.
Yeah, the memo actually didn't really go into the secret items. That was last month. But when we circulated the part 2, it identified some moderate or large impacts that may occur. And some of those, like I had said then, it was like, if they have the site plan complete, they might show that there's not going to be a drainage impact. But right, without that information, we can't tell. So it is a potentially large impact until we, show that it's not. Noise and odors, it could be a potentially long-term project, and it could have an impact on the adjacent property owners. And lighting could have an impact. So that is something that needs to be evaluated as well. I think that the impact on the historic properties, I mean, we do want to get input from the State Historic Preservation Office on this, I believe, once it's complete, to help us evaluate that. But it's not consistent with the local zoning. It requires significant variances, and and it also results in the displacement of an apartment in the downtown, which is something that the planning board has identified as an impact, and as has the comprehensive plan. Also architectural scale. So there are a number of items that were identified as potentially moderate to large impacts, and those are the ones that we want the applicant to focus on.
Yeah. So then I think the goal is that at the meeting very shortly, we're going to talk about this. We're going to hear the presentation. We're going to focus on, try to see, what we can glean from that, learn from that. Then we're going to have some questions today, all of us, and we'll have a little time to ask those questions and allow the applicant to respond. And some of them they may not be able to answer today. And then we'll go from there, and we'll see if they can come up with a more complete application for next round and address some of those impacts. Does that make sense, Kathy and Denise?
Yes.
Yep. So that's going to be our main item today in the regular meeting. Anything else on that for now, Kathy, or?
No.
Okay.
In this process, the entire process, do we begin to address those key SECRA issues once the application is deemed complete? Do we wait for that, right?
Yeah, because unfortunately, you just can't make a proper decision without all of the data in front of you. And there are a few items, like Kathy said, in the EAF where you could easily fall one way or the other based on the information provided. We just need that additional information so that we can come back to you and say we think it falls into this category. Let's talk about it and see what
One of the things, pardon me.
Sure.
One of the things that I've noticed over the years is that the actual site plans develop over time, meaning it's rare that all of the things that need to be on a site plan are on the first iteration of the site plan, or the second, or the third, or the fourth.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be years before that site plan has all the details that are being asked for by our professional staff. And it seems to me that it would be good going forward to not actually even engage in the process until that site plan is done.
That's
And
what
so-
we're trying. Yeah,
So
that's
we're not
that's-
constantly recycling this and using up people's time, especially the professional staff.
And also, I mean, people that are interested in the project, the neighbors and so forth, to come out and there's nothing to really hear because it's an incomplete application. But there is, Denise was going to say something, but Bob Plum has been working with us to come up with a checklist to look at the initial applications. So that way plans are complete before they hit the boards. So you wouldn't even see them until we do an initial review and it's just a checkbox, check, check, check. And if they're not there, then it goes back to the applicant. And if it's something that, can be waived, that's different. If there's something that doesn't make sense. But for the most part, we're checking things that are just like, this is in the code. This should be on the plans. And it's not, these things are not on the plan. So you're right. And so that's coming. So I'm glad you said that.
Okay, good. Well, that being said, there's another item we can talk about, which is that there's some recommended, or we could discuss some possible recommendations for code amendments.
Doris, can I share my screen?
Yeah. Then Kathy's going to go through these. I think we can go through with Kathy. We can ask a few questions. We could talk about, do we want to propose a memo to the Board of Trustees with some of these code amendments? It wouldn't necessarily be after tonight, but it would maybe be something we could talk about a little bit at the next planning session as well, and then send something to the board. But I'll let Kathy go jump in on that.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So, I mean, this happens a lot when you're working with the code. You notice things that are loopholes in the code, and it's sometimes very clear what the intent was when the code was written, but for whatever reason, it was never clarified. Actually, I see you guys squinting. Let me make it a little bigger. How do I do that? View. Zoom. Page width. Ooh, now it's going to be really big. Okay, make it a little bit less maybe. Okay, so the first issue has to do with a code provision right now for a transitional yard. And the transitional code, so the intent of the code is to protect residential uses within residential zones from commercial uses in commercial districts when they are next to each other. So it's not for residential uses in a commercial zoning district where, you're kind of buy into that. You're buying a house in a commercial area. When you buy a house in a residential zone, you kind of expect that if it's next to a commercial, use, that you will be protected from in some way by buffering. So when you are in a residential zone that's adjacent to a commercial district, there's a requirement for 15 feet of a transitional yard and screening to be provided. So unfortunately, it's silent when it comes to non-conforming uses within residential zones. So it fails residents that are in those locations. And so we think about places where there's an pre-existing non-conforming commercial use. next to residences, why shouldn't they have to have a transitional yard? So, and it is something that can be recommended by the planning board, but to me, this is a failing, something that's a loophole in the code that needs correction. So my recommendation is that, and Denise and I talked about this, so it's instead of that the transitional zones should be adjoining residential districts and for pre-existing non-conforming commercial uses in residential districts adjacent to residential uses. That's the recommended language that we thought that should be thought about. So
I think that makes a lot of sense. I think it's kind of a no-brainer, and I think that if the powers that be would agree, then it would provide clarity and clean up something that's going to continue to be of interest as properties get redeveloped along Hampton Street, other streets that go from the Village Business District outwards through residential districts. So.
Right.
Right.
The second is something that comes up a lot, and Tom Priotta generally stops it in its tracks, but sometimes it gets overlooked because the professionals just put this on the plans. And so this has to do with calculating lot coverage. And lot coverage for commercial properties is supposed to include the entire parking lot. There's a definition of structure that when you are calculating lot coverage, you have to calculate all structures. But it excludes access driveways and walkways. And the intent of that is for residential properties. It makes sense to not, include the lot coverage for a residential home. But that doesn't make sense for parking lots. So we've seen a lot of these applications where they come in and they take out a strip of land that they call the access driveway within the parking lot. And Tom, says, no, that's not true, but, it's much clearer to have it clarified. And the only thing that needs to change is the definition of structure, that instead of saying that it excluding at-grade walkways and access driveways for single family residential uses. And as soon as you do that, this goes away. This confusion goes away.
Okay. So
Very
basically what's going on now, Kathy, is that the building inspector is saying, is clarifying plan by plan, the coverage.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not should be clearer in the code.
Mm-hmm.
And that it probably makes sense for us to consider that and then recommend or ask the trustees to look at this so that it's clearer.
So right now, to a certain degree, Tom is interpreting the code. He's filling in the blanks in the code, the little holes, with what he believes the intent was. And so this is just a move to actually clarify specific aspects of this that get raised when projects are proposed and you work through the project and you see, oh, where did you get that calculation from? You didn't include this. And they said, well, there's no specific requirement that I included. It doesn't say so. And so it's up to Tom to kind of intervene at this point as opposed to being crystal clear.
Right, exactly. And because of the way it's worded right now, the tendency is that on commercial projects, the developer or the applicant will try to make that access driveway as big as possible because it's not technically counted. And then Tom is sort of going back and forth with them saying, no, only this is your access driveway, not this whole area. So
actually, on commercial property, it doesn't even exist. You don't have an access driveway necessarily. Right.
Exactly. It's all parking lot. So that's it would be immensely helpful for the building inspectors to have it clarified and not subject to debate.
Right.
I can email this to you all, my little notes here.
And the coverage, I mean, part of the coverage issue is it's a drainage situation, right?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. So
there's environmental impacts to that. And
Exactly.
yeah. Okay.
Just a question, Kathy. I love this kind of thing. Are you these suggestions that you're making? Is this separate from the activity that you've been engaged in with Kay and Denise on recommendations for the waterfront?
Yeah.
Because I love this kind of thing. Denise knows this. In the past, I've,
Yeah.
For example, a personal gripe of mine that I'd love you to, it never comes up generally in our stuff because we don't do residential districts, but I know Tom has had problems interpreting an aspect of our code wherein professional offices are allowable in a residential district as long as the professional is
Live there.
is a resident of that house. There is at least one absolutely egregious circumstance that I've complained about to the village on a couple of occasions. And whatever language Tom needs or the building code, that should be addressed. It should be as clear as day what was intended, which is if you own a house, as for example, certain attorneys who practice in Sag Harbor have owned houses and they lived there and they had a shingle out, and that's fine. That's all very reasonable and traditional. But that has somehow escaped our notice. And there are people who do not live in their houses who have signs up, and I'd love to see that get straightened out. And I would ask Kathy if you would propose that, at some point, and Kay, maybe you and Kathy could talk about it.
Let's think about that. There are lots of code changes that we could talk about, but some of them are more appropriate for the planning board's purview than others. And that's what we're going to focus on. But so let's keep that in mind, and we'll see if there's another avenue that's suitable to discuss that particular issue.
I have a question about that, Neil, and anyone who wants to weigh in. Is the language in the code actually unclear, or is it that the enforcement is not being carried out?
No, I think the language of the code is unclear. That's how I understood the problem.
For some reason, I thought it was clear that it said that maybe it isn't clear. I'll have to look at it. It's been a while since I've read that provision.
It isn't that it's not clear that the intention is for a homeowner who is a professional to be able to have an office. What's not clear about it, I think, is how is that determined?
Right. Gotcha.
Okay. So I think it sounds like, to circle back to those two code amendments, that those make sense to the other members of the board, just having discussed it briefly.
Yes.
So with that in mind, let's think about it some more. We'll see if we can maybe circulate a memo or something between now and the next work session. And then think about it some more, everyone, including Kathy and Denise. And then we can talk about it again at the next session. And if it makes sense, we'll submit a memo and maybe even some proposed language to the Board of Trustees on those two items. Great. And then we just can catch everyone up on item 4 quickly before we go to our regular meeting. So an update on the waterfront planning study, which has been kind of moving right along. And I think Kathy said that there's going to be a presentation of the proposed code changes January 27th, which is the Board of Trustees meeting at 6 p.m. So what I would do is ask everyone to attend if they can attend. And if they can't attend the meeting, you can watch the meeting, that part of the meeting, targeted at your convenience. And we can get Beth or whomever to send out that Zoom invite to everyone on the board.
Yes. Good.
And the idea would be then we're all a little more up to speed on what's those changes that they're really going to affect our job and our how we do things, hopefully in a positive way. So, all right.
You
So
will be asked for an opinion. I'm sorry, Kay.
Oh, no, you go ahead. No,
Just
please.
wanted to say that for just the village code requires it anyway, but I know the trustees will want your opinion. So I figured now would be a good time to start to get in the loop, get the planning board in the loop as much as possible.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And I want everyone to be in the loop. And I think, like I said, if for some reason that time isn't convenient, you can watch it the next day or a couple days after, or I'm happy to have a one-off conversation with anyone who can't be there to go through any questions, just so that we can all get up to speed as things evolve, because they're still evolving. So with that being said, I think we should roll into our regular meeting and have the flag salute. I'm going to post our little flag, Doris.
Yes, I'm gonna share my screen. Give me 1 second. Whoops.
Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of
America, and
to
to the
the
to the
republic
republic
for
for
which
which it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, thanks.
You're welcome.
So it's the regular planning board meeting now, just after 5:30 on Tuesday, December 22nd. We have everyone on the board present, except for Jonas Hagen. And I would start the meeting by asking if I could have a motion to approve the minutes from the meeting taken on November 24th.
So moved.
And a second?
Second. I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so carried. Okay, the first item on the agenda is a decision. As we discussed in the last meeting, 30 Atlantic Avenue, Temple Addis, Israel. We're here to vote on adopting a resolution for site plan approval. And Denise is going to summarize what's going on with that to start.
Sure. As you may recall, this is the Jewish temple that's located on the corner of Atlantic and Elizabeth Street. And they're seeking to add a 2-story addition to the existing facility, sort of at the rear of the structure, which will be a new entryway into the building. It's consists of approximately 609 square feet, and also includes a small second-story porch of 129 square feet as well. The purpose of the new entryway is essentially to provide safer access. There's really little handicapped accessibility there right now. But it will also provide them with the space for an elevator so that people don't have to use the stairs to go upstairs as well. The zoning board has approved the variances that were necessary for the project in November of 2018. And we did get a memo from our fire marshal stating that all fire and safety codes have been met by the project, that there's nothing else that's required. And other than that, our only condition, if they haven't done so already, is for them to get a certificate of appropriateness from the Board of Historic Preservation and Architectural Review prior to the issuance of a building permit. And this is an approval of plans prepared by Squires, Holden, Wiesenbacher, and Smith, dated last revised September 14th of 2020. So you'd be, unless anyone has any questions, seeking a motion to approve the written determination as drafted.
So if I could get a motion to approve that written decision as drafted by Denise.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carried. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So old business. Item 1, Dennis Downs sent an email earlier to Doris asking to adjourn that. So we're going to, I guess, do I need a motion to adjourn it?
Yes, please.
Okay. I have a motion to adjourn the site plan application for 152 Hampton Street, please.
So moved.
And a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
Okay,
So
for the
that
record,
was,
sorry. For the
Go
record,
ahead.
the next planning board meeting is January 26, 2021.
Yay. All right,
Good.
thanks. So then item 2 is 63 Main Page Restaurant. And this is that application for proposed expansion and change of use. And I believe we have a couple people from representing the applicant, Tiffany. And maybe their architect or consultant. And that hopefully they have a presentation for us. Tiffany?
Good evening, everyone. Tiffany Scarlato, 45 Division Street for the applicant. I have with me this evening Sal Ciccarelli, who is the architect for the project, as well as Joe Trina, who is the owner of the property. We have submitted an application to the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we're waiting on that to be scheduled. Along with that, I know there's been a lot of discussion about traffic and parking, and that's really, I think, one of the main issues for the zoning board application. So all of that's going to be submitted at the same time for that application, hoping to be scheduled in January for that. But I will turn things over now to Sal. He has prepared, as you've received a set of plans that had some 3D renderings. I think he's prepared now to sort of run you through those so that you have some idea of the scale and size of the building and the additions. I know just mistakenly earlier, it was said that we were putting a 3rd story on, that it's only a 2nd story addition to a building that already has 2 stories.
Okay.
Sal?
Hi, Sal Ciccarelli, architect for Page Restaurant, 206 Academy Street in Bayport.
Hi, Sal.
Doris, hi. If you want, I can share my screen and we can look at the 3D model.
Great.
Okay, great. So I'm going to make you a co-host, and you are ready, Sal.
Okay, can everyone see this?
Yep.
Yes. Yep.
Yes.
All right, so this is Town Hall here. This is the police station. This is the little jailhouse. This is Murph's over here. So right now, this is the, I guess, north side that we're looking at. I'm along Division Street, which is here. And if I flip around, this is Main Street. Okay, and then there's a little person here for scale. He's about 6 feet high. So our addition, okay, so we have this block here. This is going to be where the new kitchen's going. If that's a good place to start. This is the existing block we're not touching. And I guess one of the questions that keep coming up is the addition over the walkway. So that's this block here. And this is the new ramp. You can kind of see going through here. Roofed over area. So, to walk you in through Division Street, this is our entry pavilion here. This is that this little block here is that existing dumpster that's there now. We're not touching. This would be the new glass pergola. This block here has the addition for what we're showing as a coat closet and walk-in refrigerator. And then this is the new double height entry space. And I can show you where that is in plan. So again, so this is that pavilion. This is the glass pergola. And this is first floor. This is that double height entry, which then comes up to our addition, which would be the service bar. The service bar, again, is this area here. Is this block out, this higher bump. Sorry. Okay, this is the new kitchen. So again, that new kitchen is here, is this corner.
Is it possible to Sal show us like a before and after side by side, or?
I only have a model of the proposed. I also only have,
or even a drawing of what's there now.
Yeah. Let's see. I really don't have back. I really don't have back page.
This is a drawing of.
Yeah, this is all proposed.
The proposed plan.
This diagram might be helpful here. So this kind of blocks out the existing volume.
So the gray, sorry, Sal,
yeah,
the dark, the gray shaded is existing.
Yes.
And the white would be new.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't really delineate, like, let's say back page where, that's kind of like in here.
Okay.
And where the existing kitchen is, which is just a 1-story. I can show it on Google Earth if that helps. So
yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Here. So this right now, which is the atrium space, this is where the new kitchen's going.
Okay, this is very helpful. So the new kitchen would be above that atrium space.
Yep.
And it would be a block.
Yes.
And then you have that below there, that building where your pointer is now. That's the old jail house.
Yep, that's it. Yep, exactly.
Okay. Then walk us back to the, oh gosh, left of that. That space looks like a tar roof of some sort. I don't know, with air conditioner compressors.
Right, so this is where the new service bar is going to go. The new service bar will be part of this too, but this is really where the actual countertop, let's say, is going to be.
Then as you go back towards Division and Murph's, what's that space where your pointer is now? Is that the back page, or is that?
So this is back page. And
what part of back page is that? Is that just the kitchen part?
See if I could pull up the existing. Right, so these are existing plans. So this is back page here.
Mm-hmm.
This block, actual kitchen. So some of that is,
and then
some of that's part of the kitchen.
Okay. Maybe you could just go back to that diagram. Yeah. So then if you go beyond that, it's just hard to see, but the piece of the property that then goes along towards Murph's there, that's where there's currently seating, correct?
Right. Yep. Exactly. And we're going to take over.
Those are awnings there.
Yes. Yep.
And you're going to, the proposed plan proposes to convert that to like a glass
right, pergola pavilion space. And this is
So
that,
what is there, like, is that proposed seating for the restaurant, or what's going to
no,
be happening?
it's just going to be like an outdoor kind of greeting space before you enter the building. So there's not going to be seating out there. It's just a way to transition from the street. It's kind of like an outdoor gathering space. You know, if there's an event going on, they can come outside. And if it's raining or bad weather, they have a cover. So that's there.
And then right now there's a dumpster when you walk up to the back page.
Right, so that's going to stay. I mean, we're going to fix it up. We'll make it look more part of the building, but
Right.
that's going to stay, and that's right here.
Can you zoom into this drawing a little bit, please? So there's probably some questions, I imagine, that now are coming up. Does anyone on the board want to see the certain different drawings or revisit the drawing? Maybe Sal, you could put back up that 3D rendering of the new proposed.
Al, if you could walk us through a second time,
Sure.
maybe entering from the back, and tell us what exists in each of these blocks
Sure.
as we get to the place where we can then identify the existing portion of the building and the addition to it, which is going to hold the bar, I guess, right?
Okay, yeah, so we'll start from Division Street, which is here. So our first new structure is actually going to be the pavilion, and that's going to set up as an entry from the street. It'll have our sign across, let's say, the freeze board here to say Page Hall. Again, this block here is the existing dumpster, which is going to stay. We're just going to refinish it to make it look part of the building. Right here, which is the pergola space, which we're converting from the awnings that are right now used for back page. And this starts our new space. So we're actually going to add about 10.5 feet onto back page right now. So if I go back to the Google Earth model, we're going to add 10 feet, about 10.5 feet to this. But, you know, staying within the footprint. So that becomes our entry. And the reasoning for, again, the ramp is to be ADA compliant and all covered so that, you know, food can be brought down. And, you know, again, if there's bad weather, people can walk through and hopefully not have as much weather on them walking through. So then once you enter interior space, again, this was part of this mechanical space, which is the first floor of the kitchen. We're going to add on top of that, and that's going to become the service bar, which is here. There's our service bar. And that service bar is here.
So this larger, enlarged block made from 1-story into 2-story, its primary function is to get people to the second floor.
Right, but it's also going to double as a gallery space. It's going to have, you know, art from local artists and any kind of maybe, you know, promotions of events that are going on in the village. And
so it's an event space too.
Right, right. It's part of this larger event space. Yeah, it's not right. It's meant to be more than just a stair.
But it functions with the elevator and everything to get people upstairs.
Right. So
conveniently.
Right. You'll have this extra wide stair. You'll have the elevator. You'll have this upper foyer space where You know, again, art can be displayed, anything can be displayed. You can walk in here. There's a coat check, which is part of that 1-story addition. Again, that 1-story addition being in this block here. Again, once you're upstairs.
Hold this a minute.
What's that? I'm sorry.
I'm looking at this. You've got an event space here. Okay, so there's that stairs over there.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I'm just looking at the egress.
Sure. So there's existing stairs here now, which lead out to Main Street.
Right.
Which is right now the way to get to what's currently the apartments.
Okay.
So we'll still have that for egress.
And then this is what? And this opens up into the kitchen?
Well, yeah, the kitchen's here. I mean, it's closed off. I mean, there's multiple access points to it, but you know, that way you can get the bar.
But the only way out of it is down these steps?
Down these larger steps and down these to Main Street. These lead directly to Main Street and these lead out to Division.
So if something goes on, you know, something
right
occurs, you only got one access out.
From the main event space?
Yeah.
I mean, this is all open. This whole flow front to back's all open here.
Okay, so they can go, this is open, there's nothing here. Where
Right.
the dotted lines are, this is all open?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's just like cased openings, things like that, transition spaces. Right, but yes, this is all one continuous space.
And now you have a handicap restroom there. Now, where's the restroom for non-handicapped?
So there's a smaller powder room here that can be shared even with employees, and then there's one also downstairs.
You gotta go downstairs.
There's another one. Yeah, so we have three bathrooms. There's another guy here.
Al, do you have your sheet number A4 handy? Because that has a massing diagram that appears to show existing and proposed. That might help. Or it
So
looks
we were
like
looking at this before. Sorry. Right, so this darker gray is what's existing. Right, so this is again the main volume off the Main Street existing. This is the atrium space, this lower gray. This white box here is the new kitchen. This little gray block back here is this block. That's going to stay and become part of the service bar. Again, this 1-story space, which is right now over the existing kitchen, is here. It's this guy. So again, on that, sorry, this drawing, that's this guy here. And then this becomes the 2-story entry. And then last little gray cube is the dumpster.
Okay.
Now that walk-in refrigerator doesn't cover that whole space, does it?
Which space?
The walk-in refrigerator.
Oh no, he's only half.
Okay.
He's half of this white block.
So you come in Division, your entry starts at Division Street.
Right.
And you walk alongside this all the way back.
Right, so we're going to be.
Now, where's the elevator? Didn't somebody mention the elevator?
Yeah, the elevator is like right in the middle of this
Elevator?
larger block.
Okay.
Yeah, he's in here.
So you could either go the elevator or you just go straight all the way back?
Right.
Okay. So, well, we have everyone on the call, or everyone on the meeting, and Sal. Because also, you know, we're getting this presentation, but also there are things that aren't complete. We have questions, and one thing that we talked about the last meeting is, you know, how the applicant proposes to handle how many seats, 80 seats or whatever, forget the number there you just had on the screen.
Right. Yep. 80 seats. Yep.
Those number of seats and the traffic flow and the on-demand times for that catering space.
Right.
So, you know, couple things here. One is, and just let me throw this out there, and then we can hear from, I'm sure you got Tiffany and Sal. It looks like to me from the plans, you're anticipating that most people are going to access this space from Division.
Right. And the idea of this space is that it operates independently from the first floor restaurant.
Right.
Okay.
But my question is, from traffic, like a traffic demand standpoint, does it make sense to have, if you're going to have valet or some version of that, I would think that it would make sense to have some sort of pullover for a car or two, depending, I don't know the measurements there.
Right.
So that people can get in and out of cars without blocking Division Street. I mean, you know, among other things, I mean, this, you know, certainly there's some nice aesthetics here that would improve what's currently there in that very back portion, but is the functionality, I mean, it's all sort of looks nice, but, you know, the glass pergola as a transition space, what's more important here from the site plan perspective? Getting, you know, there's a, sorry, I'm kind of rambling, but
That's okay.
my point is you can't really have valet or not easily have valet right on Division Street. There needs to be some transition there for cars.
So, I mean, we are providing one parking space on site. I know that's really a tough thing to do, especially when there's an event and there's really just a lineup of cars.
So I'm thinking, I'm just saying from a planning perspective and site plan perspective that one parking spot on site doesn't address traffic demand management, which is you have 70 people attending a shower at 12 o'clock on a Sunday or 2 o'clock on a Sunday, and there's traffic going on Division Street. That what, you know, how does that get addressed? That to me is one of the larger issues here, you know, for site plan purposes. And I don't know if anyone else has any comments at this point after having looked at the site plan, if we want to talk a little bit more about it. So I would ask anyone else on the board have any other comments?
I think that the concept is interesting and nice, and I think that this design is, I understand it, and I understand what it's supposed to do, and that's important, functionality. But I think that Kay just raised the elephant in the room, which is on a summer day, afternoon in the village, there's a huge amount of traffic on Division Street between the village and East Hampton, and tourists and everything else. And so this is really a problem. I don't see the parking as being as big of an issue as the traffic. because the parking can be found in one of the church parking lots or something like that. How people get out of their cars, where they get out of their cars. Do they get out of their cars at the parking space that's dedicated, that you've leased, and then migrate by some fashion to the facility? Or are you imagine that they're going to be let out there and the cars are going to go park?
Well, we are definitely looking into different strategies, definitely trying to partner up with some of the, the local churches for their parking and some other, even outside of the village, even for shuttles. But still, we still have to find a spot for the shuttle to drop them off, which of course would sit there a couple minutes to let people in and out. So
that's going to realistically, and that's going to be, I think, as chair, I'm going to say the biggest hurdle that the applicant needs to address is how to absorb that shuttle and or a couple cars at a time so you can adequately provide valet service for these people. Otherwise, it doesn't really function as a fully, and we're not even talking about the parking variances here. We're talking about how you guys, how it needs to function for the village and how it needs to function for the business. So the current plan it doesn't seem to really address that. I understand that you're working through some of these issues, but that's the feedback that I'm giving, and that I think Larry was just indicating as well. In addition to the feedback that Kathy's given about that the application isn't complete and that we need to see more information on the impacts for the adverse impact statement. So I don't know if Kathy or Denise have any questions or comments, or anyone else on the board.
I would just, as a question, I think for the applicants to consider, I know during the last, when this was before the board previously, for other applications, it was important to the planning board, and I believe the applicant as well, that there was enough space left at the end of that area toward Division so that you could back up trucks and other delivery service vehicles in there to get stuff to the restaurant. So I think just one question that they should address is, how are those deliveries being made? And by utilizing, all of the area, I think, or it looks like on here that we're utilizing all of the area of the property for the building itself. Are we losing that truck space that you once had, which sort of dovetails with what you're saying, Kay, about dropping people off on the Division Street side will be dangerous without a place to pull into and let people out of the cars. And I'm also hesitant about when we're going to be able to use shuttles again and put people, like all different people in the same car, like small, a small space. So I just think that those are a couple of things the board and the applicant might want to consider.
So the other question I have is that roof over walkway, Sal.
Yeah.
And the covered walkway.
Yeah.
The current plan that just connects. There's no roof there, but it just connects the one part of page to the back page. Is that correct?
yeah, I think it is a back entry too, but it's all steps. It's mostly used for delivery because there's a door straight to the kitchen.
Okay.
And another benefit to having a ramp is that it'd be easier to truck things down there. Just through here. So there's a door.
Okay.
There's a door off of that ramp
Okay.
that's also used for service, but and through here.
Okay. So so that being said, I think I think this is very helpful to see the 3D rendering.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I think for next steps in completing the application, but also really looking at the site plan, that I would guess for other, it would probably be helpful for other boards as well to see an alternative solution for the back there with the dumpster and the other build, like that walkway and that space, that has to be part of the site and has to be the sort of access. There has to be some vehicle access there.
Okay.
So, I mean, I understand that it's not as attractive as what you currently have envisioned, but that for this to get through and achieve what you guys want to achieve, which is this catering space, that's the main site plan issue I see. And I don't know, Kathy and Denise, if there's anything else we need to discuss about that for now, or if we can just kind of, I don't know if Tiffany has any comments.
Not at this point. We are, as I said before, working on the parking and comprehensive parking and traffic plan to present to both you and the Zoning Board of Appeals, and we should have that ready. Things are moving a little slower than we would like them to because of COVID, yeah. But we're working on, getting, those types of agreements together. I appreciate your comments about a drop-off point, and we'll take that into consideration. The main goal for tonight was to give you an overview of the building, walk you through it, make sure that you understand how the building is supposed to function, so that if you had very practical comments, we could address them as early as possible. The other issues we'll work on as well, visual impacts, in conjunction with the adjacent landmarks. We will get something to you with respect to that, as well as a construction protocol that deals with any possible noise and odors and how long we think construction will take and those types of things. And I think we'll just continue to make amendments to the plans as requested by Nelson, Pope, and Voorhees. I appreciate them taking the time to look at them. And I appreciate the board's time as well. If you have any other comments or any other feedback at this time, we'd, appreciate it, so we can head in the direction that, everyone would want us to head in.
I'm just curious, could we have a little further discussion on the valet parking concept for Division? And how would that actually work if you were going to valet people out of Division Street? Is there a concept for that?
We're in the process of working that out. And as the board members have aptly pointed out, there, seems to be an issue with a place to actually pull over. So once we get that situated, then we'll get a plan to the board with a lot of detail.
Okay, great. And then I don't know if we need to, Kathy, if we need to coordinate anything with the DOT on that.
Well, yeah, I would assume that something would have.
Right, it would be a New York State DOT issue as well.
Right. So
you would have to come down Main Street to Bay Street to come back up.
Yep.
That'd be quite a, I don't know, that's going to be quite a problem, especially in summer times on Saturday and Sundays.
Well, don't forget, you can get into the building from both ways. You can get in from Main Street as well, because that walkway that is still going to continue to remain. That
I'm saying with your shuttle.
Village Hall to the back of the building.
I'm talking about your shuttle, wherever your shuttle comes from.
Oh, understood. Yeah.
It's got to come down Main Street to Bay Street and then goes back up.
Some people are probably just going to park wherever they can find a parking space and walk. But you do have a certain amount of people who are going to be using the rear entrance.
Right.
I just think that kind of space does lend itself to people wanting to have some sort of valet when they're bringing presents and cakes and whatever. I see an opportunity to really mitigate some of the parking issues that are created by expanding the space, but also the future of the village is how do we balance that there's no more parking, but we have buildings that are expanding and more people wanting to come to the village. How do we figure out a solution for that? And it behooves the business as much as it does the planning board to come up with a viable solution, not just a wink, wink solution. Oh, we'll park in the church. Something that really makes sense and really works, because it's just going to help the business. Because if you don't have a good solution, people are going to start. They're not going to want to come to your space because it's too much of a hassle to park. And so, here's an opportunity for us to all work together. And we've identified that this is definitely an issue. So, with smart architects and lawyers and volunteer board members that care about the village, how can we come up with a solution that kind of makes it work for everyone? Is sort of the point that I'm trying to make. But I think I made it, and I don't want to keep droning on.
I'll do that. I think that when we did the Harbor Heights project, part of the traffic analysis was car counts, right?
Yeah.
We remember that?
Yep.
We did that.
We did.
And because it was important to see the degree of intensification, and it's not just an abstraction. We're talking about summertime in an afternoon on a Saturday or Sunday, when we've got max traffic on 114 going right past there, and also this intensified use with the activity of automobiles potentially pulling over and letting off people and leaving. And so going out of traffic and back into traffic, how many times? 30 times in a period of a half an hour, added into the mix of the regular traffic at that time of the year. And I think that that's why Kay's point is very important, is that it has to be a really functional and viable concept and plan that can be carried out and work safely.
So,
Okay, thank you.
thanks. Yeah, thanks, Larry. Thank you, Sal and Tiffany. Appreciate it. So then, I guess for now, let's see. That's concludes that. Unless Kathy, you have any comments. I mean, I know we're asking.
Nada Barry wanted to say something during the public part of this. It's not a public hearing, but
it's not a public hearing, but Nada, if you'd like to make a brief comment, we'd welcome it.
I'm asking Nada Barry to unmute, please.
What I wanted to point out, and I'm glad you're discussing the parking scene, is there's an additional problem, and that is the wharf shop, the old whalers condo. We have an extremely hazardous situation getting out, and we also cover the nail salon and the Agozi building. As we come out at this time, we all cannot see because Baldors and the trucks dropping off the produce needed for Page every day, minimum one, and often more. They block the traffic, but we can't even get out and safely because we can't see around that. Now, also, I just want to bring up, and Tiffany, you're there, they have one parking space theoretically near the dumpster. But to be honest, whenever it's been used, almost every time, it's blocking the sidewalk. So people are having to go around it to get along. So whatever they build, whatever access is made, it should really be enough to get a truck in, because along the whole street, the American Hotel can pull their vehicle, their delivery trucks off. Everywhere else, they can get the delivery truck over further. But in front of for Page, it is right blocking and sometimes blocks the traffic. all the way up beyond the learning center, the schools, Old Stella Maris, because of the parking of the trucks and deliveries. So it really is a major, major, major scene. I didn't realize that's the zoning board. Anyhow, I just wanted to make, for you people to understand that the hazard at exiting or even entering. I mean, when you want to enter, you have to block the traffic or wait for it stopping coming from East Hampton to get around it to get into our entrance.
Right. Yeah.
So,
Just
okay.
right. Thank you.
Right.
I can speak definitely to that since I'm pretty familiar with that area, since my office is right across the street.
Right.
There are a lot of delivery trucks. Some of them park directly on Main Street. Some of them park on Division Street. Some are meant for the hardware store. There are a lot of deliveries going into the beverage store. Page are some of the deliveries, but just keep in mind that it's not, it's not
unique.
That one business.
Well, I think just to kind of, I hear what Nada's saying and I hear what Tiffany's saying, and I think we need to kind of start to wrap the meeting up. But the point has been, I think, made and taken and understood that overall, we need to come up with the best possible solution, taking into account that there needs to be some access back there on the site, and hopefully be the best possible access that would help the business and surrounding businesses and pedestrians. And then we work with Kathy, the DOT, the zoning board, everyone works together to come up with, and the applicant to come up with the best plan for that. So thank you, Nada. Thanks, Tiffany. And I think for now we'll conclude that item on the agenda.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you so much. And then so the next meeting, January 26th,
That
2021.
is correct, Kay.
Yep. Okay. So with that in mind, could I get a motion to adjourn the meeting, please?
I'm sorry, are we tabling 63 to January 26th?
Well,
Yes.
for tabling or carrying it over? What
Carrying
would-
over? May I have a motion for the
Okay,
record?
can I have a
please?
motion to carry over this to the next meeting?
So move.
And a second? Second?
Second.
Great. Okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So carried. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
everybody. So that, with that being said, could I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll motion.
Everybody have a good holiday.
Thank
Safe
you.
holiday. Stay
Thank
well.
you.
Yes,
Thank
happy
you.
holidays.
Okay.
Yep,
And
same
but before we, a second
Yes,
on
thank you.
the adjournment, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Now, Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank
Merry
you all
Christmas,
so much
happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
for
Happy New
working,
Year.
working through everything together. Appreciate
Enjoy.
it.
Did you render the decision on the temple?
We did.
We
We
adjourned
did.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doris,
Great.
can I get a copy of that tomorrow?
I'll email it to you, Dennis, if you want the draft.
Thank
So
you. I
can-
appreciate it.
Sure.
Right.
Okay. All right,
Thank you, guys.
Good
All
night.
right. All right. Be
Good
safe,
night, everyone.
Happy
right.
New Year.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Merry Christmas. Feliz
Christmas.
Merry
Navidad.
Christmas, stars. Feliz Navidad.
Feliz Navidad. Próspero
Feliz
Año Nuevo.
Navidad.
All right.